Pete was the first to say anything. "She's very dark," he said to me one day. "What do you mean?" I said. "Of course she's dark. I'm dark. She's darker than you." That's what he all said. Granted it monosyllabically, like, "She's darker than you." I suppose she's quite dark if I stop to think about it. I suppose you could see it if you looked properly, but I never thought about it. Families can vary quite a lot, aren't they? My friend Kaz, who's Welsh, she has a black hair and so her husband, and they've got 2 gingers. A boy and a girl, both bright orange, and I'm Japanese, so, you know. I thought she got more of my genes than Pete's. One night we were watching EastEnders, and someone is cheating on someone or something, and Pete just exploded. He went crazy at me, which doesn't like him, to be fair. He's quite a calm person normally, not one for shouting or kicking off. I mean, he can be a bit gruff sometimes, but he never lost his shit like that. Anyway, all of a sudden he stood up and started shouting at me. I knew she wasn't mine. It's bloody obvious. Anyone can see you've slept with someone. I'm not fucking stupid, Hanna. I didn't know what to say. It took me a while to even realize what he even meant, and when I did, I just worried how Ellie would hear him. He's shouting so loudly. I kept telling him to keep the noise down. I mean, I know she wouldn't understood, but kids pick up stuff, don't they? And of course I got angry at him, and fully off the handle myself, started shouting way louder than he had been. I mean, well, you would, wouldn't you? When someone accusing you something like that. I mean, that's a proper defamation of character, isn't it? Bloody rude as well. And then he stood up and went out. I'm going to my mom's. I thought he meant that just for the night, but he didn't. He meant he's leaving us. Pete's mom was the one who wanted us to have a DNA test. You don't want to hear what I said when she suggested that. Let's just say I didn't like the idea, shall we? I felt he ought to trust me, but because I know for sure I'm telling the truth, I just thought, well, fuck it. At least it will shut him up. I mean, I did resent having to prove it because at the end of the day, he was basically saying that I'm cheating on him when I hadn't. I never have. I've only ever been with Pete as it happens. Not that you need to know that. Anyway, we went for the DNA test, me and Pete and both our moms, and that's when we found out. Pete was right. Ellie wasn't his. He's right for all along, but what we weren't accepted was that she wasn't mine either. They knew she was an alcoholic, apparently, the nurse. Hospital trusts knew all of her history, but what with the cuts and problems they're having with the staffing levels, they still employed her to do some less demanding shifts, such as night shifts, Sundays, that sort of thing. Things that they couldn't get anyone else to do, basically. It's just a bad luck that we caught her on the wrong day of the week. They said at the inquiry that she never been caught by drunk or drinking, but that's clearly absolute bollocks as far as I'm concerned. She obviously was. I mean, who would do that sort of thing when they weren't pissed? When she's giving her statement, she kept contradicting herself about what had happened. Kept making up all these stupid little excuses. They're supposed to keep the name tags on the baby's wrist, so this sort of thing can't happen, but she said that she cut them off with a pair of scissors so the babies can get more light on their skin. I mean, as if that would make any difference. One tiny little strip around their wrists. And then she said a load of nonsense about putting them together because they looked lonely. Made it sound like it was just all an innocent mistake, but how many lives did she ruin? How many hearts did she break with what she did? And she couldn't even be honest about it. Pathetic. It's hard for me to think about the first few hours now. Thinking about it makes my brain split in two. I remember giving a birth to my daughter. I remember looking after her at the night, trying to get her feed and holding her little fingers in my hand. Except, of course, that baby wasn't Ellie. I didn't do that with Ellie, but I can't seem to make my brain separate the two things. So my memories are both true and false at the same time. It calls paradox, apparently. I looked it up. My whole life is a paradox.